Hello, I'm Casey Wilson, owner of Roseville Strength and Conditioning and one of your co-hosts of the Do or Do Not podcast. This is
Brad Erie, as always.
And what are you?
Thunderlord, badass, and co-host.
And you're a client.
And client.
All right, good. So the reason I highlight that is because one of the main things about the great give and take between Brad and I is I'm the trainer. I train him. He was in here this morning being trained. And he's the client, so he gives the opinion from that side of the point too. Whenever we're talking about fitness, so it's a good
back and forth.
It's a good back and forth, and you get different views on what's going on too. So you get someone's take on it in one frame of reference and one on another. So when we talk about fitness, we're going to talk about a couple things. I like to relate questions that I'm asked by clients or by people because I get asked a lot of questions. Being a trainer, you go somewhere, it's almost like I'm sure psychologist or a doctor or whatever, they go somewhere and people go, oh, really? And they start asking you 50 questions about fitness stuff. But clients ask, friends, family, people I meet, they ask me a lot of questions. So one of the questions I wanted to discuss, because I'm sure some of you have that on your mind, is how do I lose belly fat? And you know what my answer is? If you really want to target and lose belly fat, you need to go to the plastic surgeon. That's the only way to target fat off your body. So there's no way to target losing weight on your body. So let's say you decide I want to lose weight in my stomach and I start doing a bunch of crunches and planks and a bunch of core exercises. Guess what? Your core is going to get stronger, but if you're still eating like crap, you're not going to lose any weight. So then your core's strong underneath, but you still have the fat over top of it. They're two separate energy systems. You can't go target an area and make yourself lose weight there. So that's a misconception by a lot of people. The only thing that I will say there's a caveat to it is if you drink a lot of beer, there is technically a scientific reason why people who drink a lot of beer have a beer belly. So if you were drinking a lot of beer and you stop drinking that beer, your belly may shrink faster than the rest of your body because you're no longer having, I think it's called glycolysis or something like that. It's some...
Dude, you're the trainer. You should know this.
But I mean, I don't sit there and memorize this. I mean, I've heard it a bunch of times, but I didn't sit there and try to look it up again right before we get on the podcast. So
I find beer bellies racist. I'm just going to throw that out there. As an Irishman, I mean,
I don't know. I don't see a lot of. You see the Irish guys in the pubs and stuff. They don't seem to have I take that back.
They kind of have bloodshot noses and.
Yeah, that's true. But that's not beer belly. So there really is no way to target your body. So your body, as I like to describe it, and the best description I've ever heard, is if you put a stick of butter in the microwave and you turn it on, is that butter going to melt from one spot and then go and melt in another spot? No. It's going to kind of melt. The whole thing's going to melt evenly and it's going to go off. Same way with weight loss. Delicious. So I think this is a great way to think about weight loss. So let's say you start eating right, you start working out, and you start losing weight. It's going to come off different places. And what I found over the years is the last place you gained a lot of weight. So let's say you gained some in your hips, and then you gained it in your stomach. Then you noticed in your upper body, your arms started getting flabby. And that was the last kind of thing you noticed. And then you started losing weight. A lot of times it starts coming off the places that you last gained it. And then it slowly trickles down. The whole body starts shrinking like that butter in the microwave. But, there's no perfect thing to go, oh, well, you're going to lose weight here. Your whole body kind of loses it. But I always find that if somebody just started realizing, man, my love handles are getting big, and that's the last thing they realize when usually your love handles are going to start shrinking first. And you get back. I usually find it happens even for me, when I go on a diet and I notice my upper body starts losing. I start seeing more veins and I start getting more tight in the upper body before it goes down to my last thing that I ever lose is the love handle area. I just have bone. Everybody has different genetic things. I have my iliac crests pop up like this. I just don't have a narrow waist, even so when I'm down at 8% body fat, which I haven't been for a while. I usually hover between 12 and 14% body fat.
I think I was last 8% body fat 2 days after I was born.
The last time I was probably 10 years ago was the last time I was at 8% body fat.
Mine was probably 49 years and some odd months.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have a six pack when I turned 40. I didn't when I was 50. I didn't really give a crap. But with that being said, you can't target how your body loses fat. Your body's going to lose fat in a way that it's going to lose fat, and everybody is a little bit different. Just like training, everybody's a little bit different. Fitness is different. It's no exact science. The only way to target body fat loss is to have that fat surgically removed, which I would not recommend unless,
How else am I going to get a six pack?
Well, there is no way for you to get a six. That's not true. You just have to be strict for a while. And you lost 4 pounds recently, right?
It was brutal, but I did.
Yeah. So the other thing is BMI. When people talk about measuring their body, and there's a government kind of standard, the military uses BMI.
Is BMI trash? I mean, how real is that? Because I just broke the obscene or obese to overweight to now I'm just barely into the fit category. And I'm like, come on, man.
You got in the fit category?
I did.
Well, you're a little taller too. But what's your weight?
I was 6'5", 208.
Yeah, because you're 6'5" and I'm 6'2". It makes sense. You still shouldn't be.
But I mean, at 6'5", 220, they're like, oh, you're overweight. And at 6'5", 230, I was considered obese. I'm like, really?
Yeah. So I'm 6'2", and
Maybe.
I weigh about 210 to 212, depending on what day it is. And I'm obese. Now I'm a trainer, and what BMI does not account for is muscle mass.
Yeah.
So the standard is
stupid. Mom, muscle mass.
One thing that the military and stuff does, they do measurements on your waist and your hips or your chest. They do it more than just BMI, but BMI is junk. It's a government trap. It's like the food pyramid that the government puts out. It's pure bullshit. BMI is not a good judge of whether you're healthy. What I focus on is I do weight, which is not the primary thing, but it is weight, and I do body fat percentage. Body fat percentage is going to be more focused on you. So if you have somebody who either knows how to take skin fold calipers, you get hydrostatic testing, which is being dipped in water. There's AirPods that put pressure on your body. There's ways to find out. There's bioimpedance. They're somewhat accurate if you're working on an expensive machine. They have some really good ones, but a lot of the cheap little handheld bioimpedance is where they send electrical stimuli through your body and it measures, but you have to be properly hydrated. You can't eat in a certain period of time. But there's really expensive ones that really work. Well, I have one, and I spent not a lot of money, but I spent a little bit of money on it. And
Didn't it say I was 73% body fat?
I spent like $400 on the scale, and I thought, all right, this one should be a good one. It had good reviews, and then I started testing it out on people, and I'm like, it's complete ass. But so honestly, it just sits in my room, and I have a physician scale, and I take skin fold calipers. So I just stopped using it because I just didn't feel it was very accurate. Because I can pretty much tell somebody, within 2 or 3% probably where they're going to be at by just looking at them. Or if I've worked with them and I pinched them before, I got a pretty good idea where they're at. So skin fold calipers I find are really good. Usually I use a 3-site or a 4-site test, depending on the person's, fitness level and what size they are. If somebody's really obese, 4-site test is going to be more accurate. If somebody's real leaner and healthier, I'll do a 3-site test. Just as long as you're doing the same test all the time, you want to be uniformed with it. Sometimes when somebody's really obese and I've helped them get in good shape, we transition from a 4-site to a 3-site test. But I explain to them, hey, look, you're going to drop probably a little bit more than you did last time because a 3-site test is a little bit different than a 4-site test.
What's a good, healthy amount for an average adult?
You mean body fat percentage?
Yeah. Is it 18%, 17%? What's realistic, healthy?
Well, health zone wise, I think women, if you're at 22%, you're considered very healthy.
Okay.
If you're a man, I think 18% is considered fair. I think this is fair. It's not putting you lean. You're not walking around with a 6-pack.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of normal.
Yeah.
For me, I usually think a guy is in pretty good shape when he's at, 15%, 14, 15%. You got some fat on, a little bit of fat on you, but you also, there's not fat hanging off you. If you're wearing a t-shirt, nobody's going to tell you're, got very much fat on you, Like, I find that to be usually its own. Women, honestly, most women on a body fat percentage, most women are over 30%.
Okay.
In the United States. And so you have to work hard to not be. Like, if you just start going through your life, and let's say you're an average 40-year-old woman who doesn't work out, who, you eat right and you go, I'm not obese. I'm not as big as some other people, which if you go to the mall.
Yeah. If you go
to the mall for the first time in like a year and a half, a few weeks ago.
Go into the Midwest.
Holy crap. It is Fatapalooza there. I mean, I don't, hey, guess what? People are overweight. I'm going to tell you, if you're overweight, I'll tell you you're overweight, but it's great if you're working towards not being overweight. But when there's so many people on scooters and having to stop and hold themselves up on a rail, like taking deep breaths by walking around the mall, you're in trouble. You are very unhealthy. And I think there's so many people, and it really struck me where I started doing a little research, into what's causing obesity and stuff. And it'll be a whole podcast in itself, but we all kind of know sugar, but there's some other factors in there that are pretty interesting that I never really, so I really started digging deeper into it. There's some people have done some great studies showing charts as it relates to obesity in America and what else happened in our nutritional programs in America. So it'll be really interesting. But with that being said, BMI sucks. If you want to use it and they have no other alternative, okay, but just understand, I'm a trainer. I weigh about 210, 212 pounds. If I'm getting really lean, I'm in the low 200s. It'll tell me I should be 105 pounds to be fit and healthy. Now, if I'm 185 pounds, I have an 8-pack. I have veins coming out of my abdominal wall.
And you're hungry and thirsty.
And I'm hungry and thirsty all the time. Now, with that being said, if I was going to go get in an MMA fight, maybe I would go and get down to 185. But I'm not. So when I feel really fit and healthy, when I'm about 10 pounds lighter than I am right now.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I feel really good. I mean, I put in 2 hard workouts yesterday. I can go out and run a good distance. I can lift a good amount of weight. I'm fit, I'm healthy, but yet I'm obese on their by the BMI standards, which is the stupidest thing ever. So get a body fat test. There's also like cool stuff they've come out with over the last 5 to 7 years, like DECA scans.
Yeah. And
so you can go in and get your whole body scanned, and it costs some money, but then you have a real idea of your makeup. And there's cool scales. I'm not buying a $4,000 scale, but there's scales that will
cheap. He's so cheap.
Yeah, I know. Those $400 scales, they're fucking put me out of business. But yet the 4,000 ones.
I mean, come on.
I might as well just close the doors. But the bottom line is you can have like scans done of your body on these scales. They'll rotate around you and they'll give you like a body fat percentage and stuff. So it's really cool. But the bottom line is BMI sucks. And if you are asking me about BMI, I'm going to tell you it sucks. It's BMI. And I'll also tell you the food pyramid that the federal government puts out is complete horse shit. I also will tell you there's a lot of stuff put out there that's supposed to be like going to be healthy for you. Guess what? Vegetable oils are not healthy for you. Canola oil is not healthy for you. So these are things that, people talk about.
What about carbs?
Well, that's a whole nother. We can't die. We'll be here for a half hour.
I know. I get you all passionate.
But carbs is not bad. Sugar
in moderation,
and excessive sugar, simple sugars and processed sugars are really bad. If you're eating a sweet potato or you're eating some raspberries, you're going to get some sugar. And you're going to get complex carbs. You're going to get some fructose, simple sugars. But you're not eating candy bars. You're not eating grains. You're not eating, pastas and breads and stuff like that. Chips,
I love all of
sodas. All those sugars are killing the United States. All of our healthcare problems. Guess what? Everybody's starting to depend on pharma instead of healthy living. And healthy living is what's going to keep you out of the hospital. I'm 50 years old, and I've spent very little time in the hospital. Very little time. I'm on no medications, and I never have been. I wouldn't even take painkillers when I had a hernia surgery. They gave them to me at the hospital, and I took one pill, and I said, threw the rest of them out. So
Not me.
I'm not a big fan of pharma. I'm not a big fan. I'm a big fan of taking care of yourself. Now there may come a day where I have to take something, or I get a disease, or
more
something.
Painkillers, the better, in my
But
opinion.
staying healthy and fit, you reduce your risk of those things.
Dilaudid. Let me just tell the
So that's
fine
pretty
people
much
out
those
there.
are the two subjects that I've been asked questions about recently.
Okay.
Was the body fat percentage and BMI, and I thought those were good things to dispel any myths or ideas about them. So number one, BMI sucks. And along with that, the food pyramid sucks.
Yeah.
And you can't spot reduce fat unless you get surgery. But you can reduce fat throughout your whole body, and those areas will shrink. And if you take care of yourself and you get healthy, you're going to feel better, along with looking better at having those fat areas disappear.
What do you think my body fat is? Mid-20s, upper 20s, 25?
We haven't done yours since you didn't even do the contest, did you?
No.
No, yours is not upper 20s. No, yours is probably 19 or 20.
To try to like lose 4 or 5%.
You're not quite where you need to be at.
No.
But you're not that far away from it.
I feel like all my fat's left to my neck and my gut. Like I have much fat on my arms, my legs.
You carry around your midsection more.
Yeah, I blame mom. Like
Yeah.
this is where my family has their fats. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, no, I would probably say you're probably 20. I'd probably say 20, no, possibly 19. So you're not that far away from being where you need to be at. A good strict month of eating right and actually showing up to your private workout sessions. And
you know what? The guilt.
Then you would actually probably get right where you get to that line of being fit or being lean.
I feel like with my body type, I feel like close to 200 where I feel my best.
So you're only 8 pounds away.
Yeah.
I feel close, even though
I don't know for you, but like the closer I get, the harder those pounds are. Like when I was 300, losing like the first 20 pounds, like, yeah, it's not that hard. Like I just moved more, weight started coming off. And then like the next 10 pounds got a little harder. Then the next got a lot harder. But to go from like 215 to 205, like nearly killed me. Like, oh my gosh, I had to work out. Like it felt twice as hard to lose that final little bit. To go from like 208 to 200, it's just going to be like, man, because I feel like my body's kind of adjusted to my workouts and my intake and all of that. I'm like, I have to re-shock the system or something. But I don't know if that's just me or if that's whatever. You see that a lot, but I know like the more fit I am and I still try to lose more weight, it gets harder.
Nope, that's just pretty much everybody. When you get closer to that goal, you got to really push harder. The workouts have to be more intense, and the discipline with food and stuff has to be right on, because your body is going to fight you to get down to those final little areas. Just, it's easy to, if somebody comes in and they're 300 pounds and they need to lose, 70 or 80 pounds like Brad, he gets that 70 off, and then that last 10, 15 pounds is harder to lose, because your body kind of gets to where it holds on to it harder. It's adjusted a bunch of times to you losing weight. It's kind of like the whole, I don't know if I guess this is for older people too, but I don't know if most people probably wouldn't remember when Oprah.
I'm not that old.
When Oprah Winfrey would lose a bunch of weight
and get it back,
gain it all back, lose it. It. She was always doing some type of trippy fad diet, or she'd get it.
Her magazine covers would be all
so
thin for a while.
When you do that to your body, you can also mess up your metabolism, so it gets to be harder to lose weight too. But when you get closer down to where you want to be at, it gets to be more of a struggle. And then, if let's say you gain 10 pounds back, 15 pounds back, and then you drop that next 10, the next time you go to do it, the body gets a little hard. It just gets harder the closer you get to it. That's why when people do like these bodybuilding competitions or figure competitions, it takes superior discipline towards the end, meaning you are suffering. Yeah. I've been around. I've never done it. I would never do it, but I've been around a lot of like I had former trainers, some friends and stuff that have went up on stage and did that. And I'm always like, it is literally torture, and it's very unhealthy for your body. The way they starve it and the way they don't give it hydration and nutrition towards the end. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but the discipline I'm a huge fan of, because it takes a strong mind and a lot of discipline to do it.
Yeah, I got a whole new amount of respect for people who can do this and be like cut weight and make all their veins pop and all of that.
Yeah.
Another thing I found out too, just want to see if it's just me. When I was close to 300 pounds, like my weight could fluctuate 15, 20 pounds, I really wouldn't notice. Now that I've lost a lot of weight, like if I gain 10 pounds, I feel it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel bloated. Like I don't feel well. And if I lose 5 pounds, I'm like, ooh, I feel lean. Like now that I don't have as much weight, like if my weight varies just a little bit, like I really feel it. Like if I go up to like 215 or something after like a bad couple of weeks, I'm like, oh my God, I feel sluggish. I feel like way overweight. And then if I get back down to like 205, I'm like, man, like, I feel so much better. And I'm like, it's only 10 pounds. After you lose 70, you're like, what's
10
another
pounds,
10?
10 pounds is a big deal.
It is to me
throw on
now.
a 10-pound vest and walk around with it all day. And then
Yeah.
you start realizing my knees hurt a little more, my feet hurt a little bit more. It's all that extra weight you're carrying. That's what's dragging your system down and slowing you down.
When we pick up, Casey has a 75-pound ball over to the side. And every time I pick it up, I'm like, that was just on my gut.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That was on your fingers.
Yeah,
your feet,
everywhere,
your
but
gut,
still.
your back, your arms. It was everywhere.
Amazing.
All right, so
we're going to pause that.